Hi, this is Joe Lewkowicz. I'm with Coldwell Banker Realty, and this is our monthly session where we do this the second Thursday of every month. Have a live streaming program where people type in questions, call in questions, want to follow up with what's going on in the real estate market in Tampa, and happy to answer on any of those questions. Today, we're going live from the Center Club here at the corner of West Shore and Kennedy. And so just an overall to the market, we went through the hurricane. That's the biggest news. And one of the things that happened with the hurricane issues is things got slowed up with closings. Most of my closings got delayed. I had 8 of them the final week of September, which is a lot of closings, and I'm glad they all closed. But one of the biggest issues was many of the appraisers who had appraised a home prior to the hurricane coming had to go out and re-inspect it, meaning taking pictures, making sure the house was okay. And turns out one of the appraisers was telling me that they had to do this for free. And he had 53 of these that he had to do within a 2-week period. So things were slow for new appraisals, and that we're pretty much back on track with where the market's going right now. Interest rates have remained low. We are a little bit, this is normally in Tampa, which is a working community, are starting to be a little bit slower time of year. Once school started, the market began to slow up a little bit. The people who are selling right now really want to sell. So it's a good time to buy a house, candidly. I mean, the people who are, they may have gotten, you may get a 3-4% price difference this time of year through the beginning of January. So just something to consider. If you've been on the fence, the interest rates are good, the prices are going to be real good. The amount of inventory may not be quite as good as it would in the middle of summer. And candidly, one of the things that's been driving prices that inventories have been very hot, very low all year, and demand has still been about steady. So that's what's been causing prices to increase roughly 5, 6, 7 to 10% depending upon the area of town. This time of year, we will plateau. We will not drop in price, but we're probably not going to have a price increase again, all things being equal until next March. So with that, that's the overview of the market. Let's see if there's any questions. And okay, so here's our first question. How do you arrive at the listing price when selling a client's home? And that's probably the question that most people want answered. What's my house worth? Depending upon where you are, if you're in a subdivision, it's a little easier to give an idea. But candidly, once the house is more than 5 or 6 years old, everybody has either decorated it well, not decorated it well, abused the house, taken perfect care of the house, kept it in great shape. So these are the questions that, for example, many people go on Zillow and get a Zestimate. They don't know. They do their algorithm, but they can't look at the house and say, okay, what am I competing with? What is the market conditions going to be right then? And what will people pay for the house that you are now looking at? Also, people want to get advised as to what little things can be done that don't cost a whole lot that can make it better. And sometimes they're willing to spend a lot of money, and candidly, a lot of times I'm telling them, don't do it. You will not break even on that. So I do comparables in the area. Like I said, if it's in a subdivision, I can usually come up with 3 or 4 recent sales that are very close to what this house should sell at, and it'll give us all a very good idea. But the minute you're on waterfront, you're in a rural area, you have a little bit more land, or you're a higher price. You start getting to, in Northwest Tampa, which is where I specialize in, you start getting to 800,000 and above, the market is not as fluid as it is at the $300,000 level. It's very hard to give an idea. That's where the expertise will really come in. So let's see if there's any other questions. How much will my selling home cost? Well, you're going to have your commission. Commissions are always negotiable. I charge a certain fee depending upon the house and the marketing that we've got to do, so you can ask me about that. The other Traditionally here, the sellers pay for title insurance and documentary stamps in the deed. There may be some other fees, you know, they could buy a home warranty and things like that, but figure roughly about 1.5% is traditional here in the Tampa area. And I say in the Tampa area because on the other coast, generally the buyers pay for the title insurance. Now there'll still be a closing fee over there. Up here, there's closing fees and all that. But if you figure about another 1.5% besides commissions paid, that'll give you a pretty good idea. You also are going to be prorating property taxes. You're going to be prorating homeowners association fees and the like of that. So another question just came in. What is your sales marketing plan when working with selling a client's home? And that is a great question. Now, number one, as I kind of mentioned before, I bring a lot of expertise to what the house should be listed for. And candidly, if that is a big part of the job, because everybody selling wants to be up here, everybody buying wants to be down here, and you know, where is the real market? What's the time of year? That is going to make a big difference, and I bring a lot of expertise to that. Now, I spent almost $200,000 on advertising last year. I can tell you this, no one, not anyone in town as an individual agent has that kind of budget, and candidly, most brokerages don't spend that kind of money. I try to get the houses sold doing mailing, doing videos, doing Zillow, doing live feeds, Facebook, you name it, we try to get the word out. The other thing as an intangible that is brought to the market is I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been on the same side of town for 40 years. Other agents know me and respect me because I've always treated them as my clients, and I want to make sure that they can get the help that they need to help sell a house. For example, I'm working with an agent this morning. She just wrote me a thing saying, hey, Joe, I'm going to bring an offer on your house. Will this work? And I said, yeah, bring it in. I think we can get it worked out. I know the sellers want to move. They're leaving town. I'm going to work it out because they had the conversation with me, and I know we can get it done. Okay. Now, sometimes it doesn't work. Usually it does, but it's a respect issue. And those are the intangibles that make a lot of difference. And I think that's the kind of thing that you need to ask, what are you getting paid for? Okay, another question came in. What should I do to get my house ready for sale? Again, kind of things that we've been talking about. What do you do? I have some people that go, I'm thinking of replacing my kitchen. Well, if you've been living in the house for 20 years and you're now going to sell it and replace your kitchen, you're not going to get you're going to get like 60 cents on the dollar. But usually the things that are the cheapest bang for the buck, mulch in the front, paint the house, make sure it's spotlessly clean, touch up things. If you got shoddy furniture, pull it out. Paint if necessary, okay? Paint, cheap for the bang for the buck. New carpets can be really good for the bang for the buck. Should you put in wood floors? That's one of those iffy questions. Should you keep the carpet the same? That's one of those iffy questions. So, and that's where meeting me, and I was with a lady yesterday and said, okay, here's a couple of things that you need to do. Here's things I don't want you to do. And she's talking about ripping up the tile in her bathroom floors, but she's already spent $120,000 to get the place ready. Any money she puts in now is going to be wasted. And that's the kind of expertise that you need on the sale. Just got another one in. Are you part of a team as an agent? And that is an excellent question. And no, I am not. Okay. Now, that's been the trend lately. Everybody becomes a team. I call a lot of people who are in members of teams. And, so just as an example, in the last 6 months, according to the MLS and my own statistics, I've sold 62 homes in 6 months. That's 10 sales a month. I'm talking to team members where they have a whole team of 4 or 5 people, and they've done like 22 sales in 6 months, the whole team. Okay. Which means that you're not talking, in my opinion, you're not talking to the person that can help you make a decision, that can get to the answers right away. I do have one assistant. My wife works with me, and otherwise, that's it. I like to keep our levels flat, so you're talking to the people that can help you make a decision. I don't disapprove of teams. It's just that I have found that you end up not talking to the team leader usually, every once in a while, but the team leaders sometimes don't sell as much as I do, which means they can't give you the market knowledge that you need. So, and what is the process of closing a home like? Okay, well, the closing, which is the final day, is a buildup, and it's kind of anticlimactic. It's going to take, from a seller's point of view, half an hour. You're signing the warranty deed, you're signing the closing statement, you're just doing a couple signatures. The buyer stuff is going to, all the loan documents and everything that will need to be signed at that point. However, the closing starts the day you bought the house. Generally, if you're a seller, the buyer, you need to know the buyer's going to get a home inspection. The appraisal's got to get done, and candidly, in an increasing price market, appraisals are not the easiest thing to get the value for. You have to get through all those hurdles. You have to make sure all the inspections are done. Does the roof got to be inspected? Is the person's insurance in place? There's a lot of little things that really need to be followed up on constantly. And when I say constantly, my assistant and I have a discussion twice a day as, okay, let's go over what's under contract, what needs to be done, has everybody been called? And just one of my bugaboos in this business is I'm dealing with a lot of part-time people. Everybody says they want to have a real estate license, so maybe they sell one house, two houses a year. They can't stay on it. And they'll act like they're been in the business forever, but they don't know what they don't know. And that becomes my job and my assistant's job to make sure that everything in that closing, when we get to that closing table where I say it takes 20 minutes for the seller, I only want it to take 20 minutes for the seller. I don't want to be there a day and a half trying to get your house closed when you should have been over and done with. And I'm going to know about it before we're ever sitting down at the table. So, and with regards to closing, are there situations that may arise after the closing which may prevent me from moving into or moving out of my home? How many days is this window of time? Okay, well, we just went through one. Contracts are all written differently, but one of the clauses in the standard Florida real estate, it's called the FAR contract, is called force majeure. Force majeure means what was a natural occurrence that put a delay on the closing? Was there a hurricane, for example, which there was? Now, the interpretation of how long, the delay can last up to 15 days from the time that the force majeure ends, okay? So in other words, like it was up to interpretation as to if roads were closed, if power wasn't on, could you get back to there? And, you know, so let's say that you had a closing to occur on September 11th, which is when the hurricane was coming through. I think it was September 10th, September 11th. You were going to be closing September 9th. Well, number one, they quit writing hurricane insurance. If you didn't get closed those days, for whatever reason there was a delay, the odds were going to be good that you were having a 2-week delay. Is it in the contract? Most likely it could well be in your contract that you had to wait 2 weeks. That means if wherever you're moving, they're going to be delayed by 2 weeks. So it's kind of a domino effect. Those are just a couple of things. Risks of loss of fire, other items that could be a thing. Also the closing disclosure. And that's one of the things that most people don't even realize there is, which is a 3-day window where you've got to give this to people. And this is where having expertise, having people that follow up on stuff really makes a world of difference. So let's see if we got another question. Is there a special process for a first-time home buyer that you go through with a client? I'm working with a lot of people who are now 28 to 35, never owned a home. I like to sit down, talk with them. Here's what you need to do. Here's the financing we need to talk about with them. Get them set up with the mortgage broker so they know what they can afford. Then we start talking about, what do you really want? What do you want? Now, I just had one of my clients the other day. He's looking for a condo. It's going to be his first place. Wants to spend $125,000 max. And he said, look, I'm willing to buy a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Okay, that's not something I want to recommend to him. Okay, and partly because it can be hard to sell. But one of the things we talked about is, what's the homeowners association like? If you don't, you know, with a condo, you're not just buying a condo, you're buying a whole homeowners association. Can you live with it? Do you like that idea? What else can you buy? Should you buy a house? Can we afford a house? What are your rental options versus your purchase options? Where are you going to be in 5 years that you see yourself? A lot of these people who are coming in, you know, they've been transferred into town, or they just got a new job, and they're in a big multinational company. They may get transferred. You know, some people I recommend don't buy. Those are the kind of questions that I love with first-time home buyers. Because if I get you into a house, I want to be able to make sure I can get you out of a house, that you can sell it and not take a huge hit like some people have had in the past. So it looks like, oh, okay, here's one last question. Is it a season to buy in Florida or sell when it comes to real estate investments? Well, not just investments. Florida can be seasonal depending upon where you are. Let's say that you're down Sarasota, Naples, Venice. That season is more tourist. Second home market. Market starts to pick up about October, goes through November, January, February, March, really hot. Tampa market, working community. People are in school. Relocation visits start happening about the beginning of January, middle of February. People come to see the area, but they don't really buy a house if they've been transferred until March. Also, everybody here, for whatever reason, gets spring fever. So the market really heats up. So March, April, May, June, July in Tampa are our strongest sales months, have been year in, year out. So good time to buy now. Okay, good time to sell, summer months. But if you're staying in the same market, and I mean by, if you're selling your house in Tampa, you're going to buy in Tampa, you're going to buy in Pasco County, you're going to buy, anywhere in this same general area. You're in the same market. You can buy or sell this time of year. You can buy or sell that time of year. I'm selling a house to, they're moving to Austin. Austin's an identical market to Tampa, timing-wise. It's a working community. Okay, so the people moving there are looking, their best time to sell a house is summer months, best time to buy is now, and these folks decided to sell their house. We're getting it sold today, and they're going to be buying a place, and they were able to make a deal because that one had been on the market for 5 months. And again, I said, people are doing things this time of year that they needed to do before, and they want to get it sold. So that's why I say it's a great time to buy. And even for people moving out of town, you're in the same kind of market. So, hey, I appreciate everybody calling in, writing in the questions. Again, we do this the second Thursday of every month. And feel free to email me in the meantime, write me a question in the meantime. I'm happy to answer it. And y'all have a great October. Thanks.